Welcome to Reflecting Light. This podcast is about filling the world with light by exploring myth, ancient texts, scripture, great works of world literature, and the works of artists, past and present, for those who have eyes to see and ears to hear. And now, here is your host, Mandy Green.
Hello and welcome to Reflecting Light. It's been a few weeks and I apologize. And I thank you for your patience with me in working through school. Holy schmolies. I didn't think it could get worse than last term. As Rachel Lind, our dear friend from Anne of Green Gables, says, you're never safe from surprise until you're dead. So here's to surprises. Here's to all of the things that challenge us and make us grow or give us the opportunity to grow. I am really being conscious about trying to see these as opportunities for expansion rather than punishments. And I don't know where we get this from, this idea that God must hate me. But in my particular case, this is a challenge I signed up for. But as usual, when we take off more than we can chew, we think we were temporarily insane when we took that challenge. And that's probably the case. But at the same time, in all of our lives, we are being presented with the opportunity to expand or to contract. And you are the determining factor in that. So as challenges come our way, it's human nature to shrink from them, isn't it? And yet the opportunity is just knocking at that door, waiting for us to take these opportunities for expansion, for ways to deepen our faith, to push ourselves to limits we've never been to before. And by so doing, we slowly enlarge the borders of our souls. And isn't that what our purpose here is, after all? So raise a glass. Here's a toast to all of the things that challenge us. I've been thinking so much about Peter lately for some reason, and his love for the Lord and his failure to constantly deliver it. And I'm grateful that Peter is painted in the Gospels the way that he is, so that I can see parts of myself in Peter's passion and devotion and parts of myself in Peter's failure to act in the way that his soul really wants to, for whatever reason. Within that vein, I wanted to look at two different scriptures about Peter. The first is in Luke 5, verses 4 through 11. When Jesus had finished speaking, he said to Simon, "Put out into the deep water and let down your nets for a catch." Well, right there, let's not just breeze over syntax in the scriptures. Each of these words has weight and meaning. There's an invitation there to put into, so Peter's efforts, into the deep water. We are clearly not in Kansas anymore, Toto, are we? Even though it is March Madness. We are not in Kansas anymore. So we're going out into the deep water, and the invitation is to let down your nets for a catch. Putting out is us putting forth an effort. Going into the deep water connotes going into a deeper depth, going out into somewhere less comfortable. And the last part, let down your nets for a catch. There are inhibitions, there's walls we've built up against so many things as a result of what we've been through in life. But the invitation here is let down your nets for a catch. Now, when you let down your nets for a catch, you're putting them into the water. You're trusting the person who's told you to do this. But it doesn't mean that your net will permanently be there. You will draw your net out. When your work is done, you will draw out that net with a catch in it. And here is Simon Peter, like so many of us. Simon answered and said, Master, we have worked hard. I'm reading from the New American Standard Bible just for fun. NASB 1995. Master, we have worked hard all night and caught nothing. Zero, zilch. This is my appendage. Zero, zilch, nothing, nada. And I think the King James says, nevertheless, I will do as you say and let down the nets. In this is an invitation to let down our nets again. Perhaps we've done this 100 times. Perhaps we've been through these motions and we think, what is the point? I have already done this. Maybe you've done it multiple times and you think, what is the point of this? Why am I doing this? But if the Lord tells you to let down your net, are you going to trust that? And I love how Simon is a professional fisherman. I believe I've talked about this before. And is like, you know what? We have done this all night. And I'm telling you, there are no fish out there. But nevertheless, I will do as you say and let down the nets. When they had done this, they enclosed a great quantity of fish, and their nets began to break. So they signaled to their partners in the other boat for them to come and help them. And they came and filled both of the boats so that they began to sink. So not only is the Lord catching enough for Peter and his company, but for this other company, and so much that it literally is going to make the boat sink. This is so characteristic of the Lord's rewards for those who trust. But when Simon Peter saw that, he fell down at Jesus' feet, saying, Go away from me, Lord, for I am a sinful man. For amazement had seized him and all of his companions because of the catch of fish which they had taken. At some point, the Lord asks us to put out into the deep water and let down our nets. Now, whether you do that or not is up to you, but I hope you can see that He will be with you in that catch. But it never is an endpoint either, is it? When you work with the Lord, it's not like you get a retirement plan. You do eventually, but not here. Because the more you listen, the more He's going to enlist you to help Him accomplish His purposes. The other verse comes from Matthew chapter 8, 23 through 27. And this is when the disciples head out on the boat across the Sea of Galilee. Again, this idea of being on the sea. And I think this is really indicative of life, that we are tossed about by a lot of forces at work in us and on us that may or may not be within our control. Matthew 8, 23 through 27. Let's read New King James. Now when he got into a boat, his disciples followed him. And suddenly a great tempest arose on the sea, so that the boat was covered with the waves. Listen to this language, covered with the waves, a great tempest. This is no small storm. This is a killer. This is something that will destroy the boat and leave you in the middle of a tempestuous sea. But he was asleep. This is such an interesting sentence. He is with them on the boat. However, they feel like he's not with them, or he's not paying attention to what's going on, or he's so exhausted from everything he's doing. But then his disciples came to him and awoke him, saying, Lord, save us. We are perishing. But he said to them, Why are you fearful, O you of little faith? Then he arose and rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was a great calm. So that the men marveled, saying, Who can this be, that even the winds and the seas obey him? Well, in our tempest-tossed lives, it's easy to imagine the Lord is not with us. It's easy to assume that the Lord is unaware of what's going on or unwilling to act on our behalf. But as you can see, he's in the boat with them. And this is an insight my dear son Indiana pointed out to me. He's always with them. He's always with them. No matter how they feel, he's in the boat with them. And they came and awoke him, saying, "We are perishing, save us." I think there's something about the initiative there that's commendable. But then he said, "Why are you fearful, O you of little faith? You know I'm with you. Do you trust that I would take care of you?" It's more of a trust crisis than a faith crisis. Do we really trust the Lord will take care of us when He covenants to take care of us? And more importantly, do we behave like we trust the Lord to take care of us and our needs and to help us in our tempests and to help us with taking care of our families and the many, many things we're asked to do? This Easter week, my invitation is the Lord's invitation. Why are you fearful, O you of little faith? And then He arose and rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was a great calm. May we be aware who is in the boat with us. And as you're on your seas, as you're being rocked about, may you remind yourself to trust the Lord. Trust that He is in this boat with you. And when it's time, He will rebuke the winds. There are times of great, peaceful calm. And there are times of severe tempests and storms. But the Lord is not a fair weather friend. It's kind of punny now that I just said it, but He's not. He's not going to show up in certain types of weather immortality. He's in for the whole thing. He's in for any time, any space, any condition. And to me, that is the beauty of the Easter season, that I never travel alone. May the Spirit of His love for you and His constancy accompany you this week as you go through your many challenges and trials, and as you realize He's with you in sea and in calm. Wishing you love and light.
Thank you for joining us for Reflecting Light with Mandy Green. If you enjoy this podcast, please leave a good rating and share it with your friends. And remember, your light makes the world a brighter place. Share it.